Imagine owning millions of dollars, a digital wallet more powerful than entire banks. The market moves when you move. Then, in a single night, everything disappears. No technical hack, no system breach, no direct attack. Just one mistake. This is not a fictional story. This is a real story from the world of crypto. The story of three young men and a whale who believed he was untouchable. In the world of cryptocurrencies, there is a small elite known as whales. People who hold massive amounts of coins, whose presence in the market feels like a silent earthquake. They rarely appear, but their decisions move prices. This whale wasn't famous in the media, but he was well known inside closed circles. He entered the market early, lost at first, then learned, then profited, then survived when others collapsed. Over time, experience turned into confidence, and confidence into quiet arrogance. He believed one thing: I understand this world better than anyone. And this is where every dangerous story begins. Somewhere else, far from the spotlight, three young men sat inside a very ordinary apartment. No luxury cars, no fancy offices, no extraordinary lives. But their minds saw the world differently. The first understood systems and how people behave when they feel threatened. The second mastered speech, persuasion, and building trust from the very first sentence. The third studied human psychology, knowing exactly when people feel fear and when they surrender control. One day, the third looked at them and said, "The hardest firewall to break is the human mind." They didn't rush. They spent a long time observing the whale's movements, his schedule, the people he trusted, the people he ignored. They didn't start with a hack. There was no visible threat. Everything began with knowledge. And when they felt the picture was complete, the moment came. The whale's phone rang late at night. An unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. "Yes." A calm, professional voice replied without urgency. "Good evening. We apologize for contacting you at this hour. This is the security monitoring team. The call is purely precautionary." The whale's tone shifted slightly. "Precautionary? About what?" "Nothing alarming. We detected minor unusual activity that was automatically handled. We simply prefer to inform you rather than leave it unexplained." A short silence. The whale didn't hang up. "Is there any danger?" "We avoid using the word danger. Just a preventive measure. This usually happens with high-value wallets." Inside the apartment, one of them raised a finger. The pulse had started to rise. "What does the procedure require?" "Nothing for now. Just communication. We may need a quick follow-up later for human verification. 2 minutes at most." The call ended. The whale sat thinking. He didn't feel comfortable, but convinced himself the call was normal. A short time later, the phone rang again. The same number. He hesitated longer this time, then answered. "Yes." The voice was calmer now, but deeper. "Good evening again. Sorry for the repeated call, but a small point appeared and we prefer to close it rather than leave it unresolved." The whale tightened his grip on the phone. "What point?" An incomplete attempt was detected and automatically blocked. Nothing happened, but the system requires final confirmation to close the report. An attempt from where? We can't determine that, and most likely never will. What matters is that it failed. The voice paused. A calculated pause. If confirmation isn't completed, a temporary automated action may activate. And we know you wouldn't want that. One phrase stuck in his mind. Temporary action. What do you mean? A temporary restriction. Preventive only. Minutes or hours. Nothing permanent. His posture changed. No, I don't want any restriction. We completely understand. That's why we're contacting you directly, instead of leaving it to automated systems. The voice became friendlier, less official. Believe me, if your wallet wasn't valuable, we wouldn't have called at all. The whale took a deep breath. All right, what do you need? Just a final review for documentation. Please stay on the line. Heavy seconds passed. I want to be clear with you. This is the final step. After this, the report will be permanently closed. Are you sure? If I weren't sure, I wouldn't be calling you for the second time. Inside the apartment, one of them whispered, "He's fully with us." One last question for confirmation only. Do you confirm that any action taken now is done with your full awareness? The whale hesitated for a moment. He wanted the call to end, to return to calm. Yes, I confirm. Thank you. We apologize again for the inconvenience. You handled this very professionally. The call ended. The whale sat in silence. He felt something wasn't right, but convinced himself it was over. Inside the apartment, no one celebrated. One of them said quietly, "Now, we wait." What followed wasn't fast. The money didn't vanish instantly. There was no magic button. It was slow, quiet, spread across time. The money was no longer one mass, but small fragments, moving inside the noise of the market until it no longer had a recognizable shape. One of them said, "Disappearing does mean no one sees you. It means looking completely ordinary." Days passed, then weeks. Everything seemed successful. Until discovery began. And it didn't start from a screen, nor from a digital transaction, nor from a complex system. It started from a party. In Los Angeles, the city that never sleeps, parties happen every night. Loud music, flashing lights, celebrities, luxury cars lined endlessly. Amid all this chaos, a name began circulating quietly among organizers. A young man, not famous, not a known businessman, but spending without limits. At every party, VIP tables booked in his name, rare bottles opened without asking the price, extravagant tips paid as if they were pocket change. One organizer joked, "This kid spends in one night what some of us spend in a year." At first, no one suspected anything. Los Angeles is full of new money. But what stood out wasn't the money. It was the lack of a story. No company, no business, no known name. Just a young man who appeared suddenly, spent heavily, disappeared for days, then returned as if nothing had changed. One night, someone was watching silently. Not a guest, not an organizer. Someone trained to notice small details. Payment methods, timing, misplaced confidence. He thought, this isn't old wealth. This is money without roots. Curiosity began. Then questions. Then connections. The same young man. The same pattern. The same time periods following the major crypto incident. It wasn't proof, but it was the beginning of a thread. And in investigations, one thread is enough if you pull it the right way. He later said, "I wasn't looking for theft. I just asked, who spends like this and why now?" From those loud parties, real silence began. The silence of analysis. The silence of observation. The silence of waiting for the next mistake. Because stolen money may hide in numbers, but it almost always reveals itself in human behavior. At first, the target wasn't the young man himself. He was just a bright spot in a dark place. But every investigator knows one rule. If you find money without a story, look for the circle around it. Monitoring began quietly. Who sat with him? Who arrived after him? Who left when he left? Slowly the circle formed. The same faces, the same names appearing in different places. Friends with no clear jobs, but suddenly changed lifestyles. New cars, frequent travel, luxury apartments rented quickly. One observer said, "This isn't individual wealth. This is distributed money." They weren't approached all at once. That would have alerted them. Instead, each was treated as a separate case. A question here, an observation there, a small detail that seemed meaningless. But when combined, the picture emerged. Each believed the others were invisible. Each thought spending alone meant nothing. But time recorded everything. One loved attention. Another preferred silence. The third believed he was the smartest. And that was the mistake. When the map was complete, there were no separate names, just one network. Childhood friends, former classmates, old relationships suddenly revived. After the money, an investigator later said, "We didn't look for the gang. The gang drew itself." Every social step became evidence. Every photo, every party, every trip. There was no hacking, no forced entry, just patience and connecting dots. From one young man spending recklessly at Lowe's Angels parties, they reached everyone, one by one. And at that moment, the question was no longer who stole, but who would make the first mistake. Because networks built on fast money always collapse with the slowest movement and the smallest error. The end didn't arrive loudly. No sudden raids, no night chases. It came quietly, just like the beginning. One morning, one of them woke up with a heavy feeling. No message, no call, but the weight in his chest was enough. That same day, another received a short call. "We need a quick conversation." Nothing official. An innocent sentence. That ended sleep forever. The third was the last to know. He believed silence meant safety. He didn't realize silence meant the picture was complete. They weren't summoned together intentionally. Each faced the truth alone. Simple questions, calm tone, no direct accusation. Where did the money come from? When did your lifestyle change? Who were you with during that period? No pressure, no threats. But every time, there was a small gap between the answer and reality. And in investigations, small gaps are more dangerous than big lies. One of them broke first. Not from fear, but exhaustion. He said only one sentence. "We never thought it would go this far." And that was enough. Names surfaced. Stories intersected. The circle closed. The whale didn't celebrate. He recovered part of what was lost, but lost something bigger. His sense of security. He later said, "They didn't deceive me because they were smarter, but because I trusted at the wrong moment." In the end, no one won. The young men lost their freedom and future. The whale lost his trust in the world. And the money became meaningless numbers. The story became a file. The file became a warning. The warning became an unwritten rule in the crypto world. There is no complete disappearance. No money without a trace. No small mistake in a world that records everything. The story ended, but its echo remained. Because in the world of crypto you may escape today, but the truth always arrives, late and without mercy.